First, there were protests over student fees. Then, the focus switched to work contracts. Now, here at the University of Pretoria, it's protests over Afrikaans as a means of instruction, something that's long been a culturally divisive issue. With local government elections due later this year, the timing seems more than a coincidence, as the wider question of what it means to be South African is played out on campus.
We have to ask ourselves as South Africa, did we complete the reconciliation project? And one could say perhaps not. And perhaps then this generation is bringing that to our attention. And so I think there's some deep work to be done nationally about our national identity.
It's only now that the University of Pretoria has returned to an uneasy calm. 400 kilometres away stands a statue of the late President Nelson Mandela, a symbol of reconciliation. This is Bloemfontein, where the city's university, once dominated by whites, has seen statues torn down in defiance of history. The pile of rubble left behind feels like a bad hangover. A university rugby game here a few weeks ago turned into a brawl when protesters stormed the pitch. It quickly descended into ugly racial violence, the pictures going viral on the internet. Was it the work of a minority intent on derailing progress to score some political goals? Certainly that's the view of these student leaders, trying to present a united front.
I think with the upcoming local elections, one way or the other, there is some influence from outside the university. When I, as a black student, disagree very much or strongly with another black student in dialogues and all that, they label me as a sellout.
South African youth still seem to be grappling with that sense of identity, with political leaders ready to seize on it to remind them of their past.
Many of the buildings are still named after political figures from apartheid, and I can understand that some students are upset about it.
So the image of racial harmony which Nelson Mandela had in mind may still be a work in progress in South Africa, but bit by bit in universities like this, it is changing. Their students are a small elite. Life here in South Africa is still lived very much through the prism of race. And although the post-apartheid generation, the so-called born frees, are mixing much more than their parents ever could, outside the economic fault lines, which are divided by colour, are still incredibly politically potent. Mandela's shoes may be hard to fill, but by the time these youngsters reach university age, the hope is there may be new heroes to move the country forward. Karen Allen, BBC News.